Seminar on UN report on gross human rights violations in Indian occupied Kashmir. It would have been a great pleasure for me to continue talking to you in detail, but cannot do so. My representative Syed Ali Gillani will present my point of view in detail. I just want to convey that these events should continue and Indian false propaganda and its brutality in Indian occupied Kashmir needs to be exposed in every front. I wish you all the best. Thanks.
I'm sure you all are familiar with the fact that Jammu and Kashmir is a long pending dispute waiting for the final settlement in accordance with the UN resolutions and the wish of the inhabitants of the occupied land fighting for their right to self-determination. The British divided the Indian subcontinent into Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan, and shortly after their departure, India invaded Kashmir and annexed it against the principles of partition and against the wish of Kashmiri people. Around the same time, India also annexed the states of Hyderabad and Junagadh forcibly, arguing that the principles of partition don't allow the rulers to decide the fate of their subjects. However, the same argument was denied in the case of Kashmir. Since then, the people of Jammu and Kashmir have been relentlessly struggling to free themselves from the Indian military grip using all possible means, and in response to our struggle, India has deployed about 1 million armed forces to crush and control a small population of 10 million, turning the region into a huge prison with the densest military concentration anywhere in the world, as reported by several international organizations including European Union, despite there being a number of UN resolutions calling for a plebiscite in Kashmir. So far, the occupation forces have killed more than 100,000 people in the region, about 10,000 have been disappeared, tens of thousands have been imprisoned, tortured and maimed. Indian forces have also used rape and molestation of women as a war weapon to humiliate and demoralize a culturally and morally sensitive population. Hundreds of unmarked graves have been identified and reported by local and international media, while Indian media and establishment have completely ignored it. It is widely believed that disappeared persons have been buried in these graves, but India has constantly turned down the demands of the families of disappeared persons for a probe. Residential houses are bulldozed and razed to ground using dynamite. Orchards are ruthlessly cut to take the revenge from families of pro-resistance activists. Peaceful protests and funeral processions are showered with bullets, and region is being used as a testing lab for newly introduced weaponry of government forces. Be it pellet guns, chemical weapons, anti-tank missiles, or the newly announced drones, frequent nocturnal raids in search of youth, throttling the voice of Kashmiris by resorting to media blackout, banning and disruption of internet and paralyzing mobile phone networks have become a norm in our land. Our just struggle is being labelled as terrorism sponsored by the neighbouring country, and a malicious vilification campaign has been going on both the state-run and private media houses. Ladies and gentlemen, thousands of our people, irrespective of age and gender, are languishing in prison in and outside the state for years together without any legal proceedings. Even the Supreme Court of India has emphasized and laid down clear guidelines for the prisoners that they be kept in prisons near their residences. But our oppressor has refused to pay any heed even to its own judiciary. The government of India, through its intelligence agencies, has recently revived the dreaded state-sponsored killers to eliminate the pro-resistance activists under the garb of unidentified gunmen who operate with absolute impunity, targeting people in broad daylight and sending shock waves across the region. This is a brief historical background of the Kashmir issue and a glimpse into the sad and gloomy situation prevailing in the region. Friends, bilateral talks and the so-called negotiations have proven to be mere lip service and have failed to yield anything positive for the last 7 decades. And let me make it clear to everybody here and through you to the whole world, including India, that Kashmir is not merely a territorial problem or a border dispute between two countries. It is a humanitarian issue. It is a humanitarian issue concerning the future of millions of people, threatened by an impending disaster with the continued occupation and repression and the escalation of hostilities. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, global situation is also not much encouraging. Political differences, military confrontations, intolerance and mistrust between neighbors, environmental differences, environmental issues, water wars, trade wars, cyber threats, new arms race are some of the challenges that are escalating tensions and increasingly pushing the nations toward collusions. In such a grim situation, the world surely cannot afford